You know that feeling where you feel like you're always running from behind, like trying to catch up before your day has even started? That is my day so often until I found a daily rhythm, a daily routine that works for me. And so today I want to share that with you. My name is Sarah Beth Martz. I'm a certified personal trainer and a biomechanics specialist. I lost 70 pounds before my first pregnancy, and I'm on a weight loss journey again now after my second. And I've committed to just showing up and sharing that journey with you completely imperfectly, whatever that looks like. So I asked in my email last week if you guys wanted to see a video breakdown of that daily routine that's really been helping me. I was sharing that. Um, I just kind of have been feeling like I'm just bracing, trying to get through the day, and I really feel like my routine is everything, and so I have to lean back into that. And so I wanted to kind of share it was completely unanimous to, yes, please create a video around that. So I just wanted to walk you through. Here's what I've been doing. Here's what I've been learning. Like, here's what's working for me. Here's what's not. Before I dive into it, I do want to give credit though. This template and the kind of the method behind it is from Amy Marie Hahn and her Master of the Mundane. And if you are somebody who has ADHD, or even if you suspect that you might, or you share some like common symptoms of ADHD, I highly recommend. I do not have a diagnosis, but I cannot tell you how incredibly helpful this was for me. She kind of goes into understanding your brain if you're somebody who has ADHD, and then, like, regardless, here are some ways that you can kind of design your days. And this, especially this phase on automating your life, was so helpful for me. So it kind of just gave me the permission to take this and just play with it. And that's really what I needed. So I'll just kind of like walk you through what I'm doing. So part of the idea behind this is that, especially for someone who has ADHD, like, you really have to kind of like mix up the kinds of tasks that you're doing in a day. So she talks about tasks that are like just mundane and mentally they're draining because they're so boring, and then tasks that um, are very energizing for you. For me, that typically is like projects, things that I can sit down, work on, use my creative brain with, and just like really pour me into. That fills me up. And then there are tasks that are not like necessarily big projects, not things that you want to like sit down and just like dig into, but kind of give you a little bit of like a dopamine hit. And so that might be something like sitting down, and I have some examples down here actually. So listening to something educational that I really enjoy, like that gives me that dopamine hit. Watching a little bit of a TV show, and this is something I found interesting too. If I'm sitting down and watching a 45-minute show, that takes up a lot of time, right? But it does, I can get the benefits of just enjoying some TV time, some downtime, just some um a little bit of time if I do 20 minutes and then can move on and do something else. It doesn't have to be a full 45 minutes whenever I'm going to watch TV. Reading for 20 minutes in the afternoon, doing things like just sending a text to a friend or going outside for a quick walk or even a workout can kind of give that to you. So the idea is to kind of like mix these things all together so it doesn't feel like your day is all like boring mundane chores that you have to get through, or that you're like just wanting to dig into the projects all day and ignoring the chores, which is something I've been doing for a very long time. So that also I have found doesn't, it kind of makes me feel blah at the end of the day. Like I feel like I just almost as if I sat around and did absolutely nothing, even though I may have accomplished some things. If they were only fun things, it actually doesn't end up quite filling my cup in the same way at the end of the day. I really need that mixture of all of these different things going on. So that's kind of the basis behind this and why it is divided the way that it is. I want to talk about how each individual thing on here kind of helps shape my routine and why I find it important. One disclaimer I want to give before I get into the very specifics is I think so many times we can see people sharing their routines on social media, and it's like, here's the routine that you need. Like, this is the perfect routine. Just do these 5 things, do this, do them in this order, do this structure, follow this, and your day will go perfectly. And that's just not how it works. It's not going to be the same however many things. It's not even going to be the same number of things for each person. And so I really like to treat this like, and I have been treating this like a science experiment. So this is like my second or third draft that I have created and actually printed out. And I have done many, many versions in between. I put this inside of a sheet protector and then I write on it with a what's it called? Dry erase marker, like a whiteboard marker. And so I will check the things off each day and then erase them and start over the next day. But I will also, in my experimentation process, I've done things like, does this have a draft? I don't have, yeah, so like I would sit down and I would go, okay, um, I think I ended up scratching out an hour of work when I was experimenting with my sleep and trying to get more sleep. I was like, okay, I don't have time for all of these things. I'm going to start with a workout. And I scratched this out and would just write next to it, like 16 ounces of water. So I'm going to try to get my first 16 in. And I finally realized, um, while yes, getting in 16 ounces of water first thing is helpful, what's actually even more important is getting my one of my big bottles of water, 30, 40 ounces, and just filling that up to start the day. That helps me get set up not just for that 16 ounces, but like for my first half of the day almost. Um, so I figured out that that is a really big habit for me, filling my water first thing. These ones that you'll see in green are the ones I'm working on making my non-negotiables because they are the absolute biggest help to me. And these are the things that if I do them, if I make sure that I get those done, it's so much easier for the other things to kind of flow through them. So that's kind of part of the color coding going on here. My drills that I do each morning, or that I'm working on doing, if you read my email yesterday, I sent out, it was about looking back at my May and just realizing I have not been showing up the way that I want to for myself. And I'm really approaching that from the perspective of the way I want to. Who is the person I want to be? I want to be somebody who shows up and takes care of her body. Like, who sees her body as part of her that she can nurture and care for. And so one of the ways that I'm doing that is through these drills. It just takes a few minutes each day and it helps me to get my body into a better alignment. I'm working on my ranges of motion and my um, being able to ground my feet better and to be able to breathe better, and all of those things just work together to be able to move in movement patterns that allow me to move without pain and to push past some plateaus and some limitations that I've been experiencing. So those are super, super important for me. Then I kind of was giving myself a choice for a while, and actually for right now, I need to change this, and this needs to be a workout first. I can also do some work tasks if I have time, but workout is the top priority here. From there, then usually after those first things, so these are the things I do before my boys get up. From there, I have to make it a huge point to get some chores done. And I started with these are my daily three absolutely non negotiables. If I get no other chores done, like this is the most important because these are the things that if I don't do them, I immediately, after just one day, can start to feel behind. And so these are hugely important. And that's doing a load of dishes first thing in the morning. Usually we eat breakfast in between these. The boys will get up, we'll eat breakfast, and then I'll move on to chores. So doing the dishes, and then I've been playing with, for a while I was telling myself you have to do a full load of dishes, unload, reload, and wipe down the countertops. The countertops need to be wiped down. And I was like making myself do it. And I would find that I just wouldn't check this off and I would never wipe down the countertops. So I started putting, okay, you get to add +1. So you check it off if you did the dishes, and then to the side we'll add +1, and it feels like a bonus if you wipe the kitchen counters. And it's working. Do what you got to do, right? So I get a bonus point if I wipe down the kitchen counters, and then starting a load of laundry, ideally moving it over as well, so that I don't end up having to rewash it tomorrow. And then folding a load gives me a bonus point here. And then my third one was just showering, just taking care of myself in a very basic way. But I hate showering. I hate it. It's so boring. And so that was right here. But one thing I noticed is like I don't do anything with my hair, like ever. I hate doing my hair. Um, and so I noticed that was something that could make me feel just really bleh if my hair was just awful. And so I started changing this, even if I don't get my shower in. Go in, put some dry shampoo, tease it up a little bit, maybe even put it back in a ponytail, but just so it doesn't look, all greasy and slicked down and gross. Like something to make me feel a little more human. The hair actually does that. And the bonus point is the shower. Now, most days I'm not going to do my hair without showering. Like, I would just rather feel clean. And so if I'm going to take the time to do that, I'm going to go ahead and go all the way. But that helps me make sure that I'm focusing on, it gives me the permission, even if you don't shower today, let's do something with your hair. Or helps me get that extra push to do both. So that's something that I tweaked from my last version, which was get showered and dressed. Hair was not mentioned at all. And so I'm just kind of playing with this. I still don't know for sure if I'm going to leave it that way. But I'm enjoying the extra push. This third section here is for the tasks that are energizing to me. So these are the sit down projects I want to dig into kind of thing. But I am making one of them a non-negotiable where I check in with my clients, whether that's in my community or whether that's with any clients I'm working with one-on-one, or like this week, my community is doing a challenge, and one format that we've been liking lately is in a group message. And so I may just kind of check in there, see how everybody's doing, and post the like the theme for the day or my takeaways for the day, and share with them there. And then one piece of content. So whether that's an email, today that's this YouTube video, whether that's writing an Instagram post. And I'm really focusing on making this something that truly is energizing, that I'm sitting down and it's not something to check off the list, but something I can enjoy, something I can just really feel like I'm sharing from my heart and hopefully is helpful for people as well. And then the other two are blank because I get to choose them each day. And that makes it even more energizing. It's something that I want to work on for that day. There are only two spots. And so I'm giving myself up to maximum 2 different times during the day that I could sit down and work on this. So that might be, a lot of times that's once during the morning. I'll put on a show for my boys for a little bit, and I will work for 45 minutes or an hour. And then later on during the day while they're napping, after I've done my 20 minutes of a TV show, I can go and I can just work on whatever is like creative and fills my cup, assuming I've already done this. So that's kind of my energizing. It typically for me is a work thing. Sometimes it could be something around the house that's like a project, like usually organizing my notebooks or my bookshelf, or just something that maybe has been weighing on me a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I just really want to get this organized. But it needs to be something that I enjoy and like want to dig into, not something I feel like I should be doing. The next thing is self-care. And most of these things I try to work through in order. The self-care things don't necessarily flow that way. They're a little bit of an interruption in the flow here. But they're things that are kind of like it ends up being more like a midday check-in. Like, okay, have you gotten your workout in? Let's strategize and figure out how to do that if you haven't. Have you gotten your Bible study in? This is something that I usually have kind of scheduled, and I'm playing around with not doing that. And we're really working on independent play with the boys. And so just trying to take a piece of time while they're playing independently to try to get some Bible study in. It's not the same. It's definitely not the same as doing it on my own when they're asleep and will not interrupt me. But for now, it's working. And then doing a nourishing lunch. And this is a phrase that I found is working really well for me. I'm not putting any standards on this. I don't count calories or macros or anything like that. I really just track what I eat, but I do have kind of a plan that I follow, just kind of, it's more of like a visual. So I follow the To Be Mindset from Alana Molstein, and it's basically, I just want to show you this. It's just a very visual plan to follow. So you're looking at your plate and you're just kind of dividing it into proportions. So at lunch, that's 50% veggies, 25% protein, 25% high fiber carbs or fruit. And so I kind of have my picture of what I'm going for here with my lunches, but I'm not checking off if it was perfectly plated. She calls it plated, that method. And so I don't check it off if it was perfectly plated or anything like that. I'm not having a requirement of myself of like a minimum amount of veggies or anything like that. But if it's something I would consider a nourishing lunch, and that really helps me come at it from this perspective of caring for myself and nurturing myself and my body. Like, how can I care for my body as if it were a separate person for me, like someone that I really truly care about. And it's been helping me to think of it like, when my boys are sick, what is kind of the energy that I bring to taking care of them, and how can I take care of myself with that same kind of care and love and attention? And so that kind of phrasing has been really helpful for me. Just, am I having a nourishing lunch? And again, I want to emphasize that I am treating this as a checklist in the sense that I'm checking it off as I go through, But mentally, I try to treat this as more of a flow. This just helps my focus and helps me think, what should I do next? Like whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed and there's like all of these things I could be doing, what's going to help me the most? Well, I've already decided, like I've already experimented. I know what's going to help me the most. Let's just do the next thing. And so it's more about just kind of keeping me focused, keeping me in a flow, keeping me on what's going to help me more than a checklist of, well, I have to check this off. Um, and feeling like it has to be checked off perfectly. So I'm trying to kind of remove that pressure from myself and just think about it as a flow. So I want to mention that too, that as we're going through this feels like a lot, and it's not a list of have tos. In fact, remember that my greens are my non-negotiables, and I kind of even worked out to that. I started with actually these being non-negotiables, and everything else was negotiable. And now I'm just kind of playing around with it. And so this week, I've actually decided that these are also going to be non-negotiable. So these are three more kind of draining mundane tasks. But notice when you batch them like this, it's like, okay, so I'm starting with these three in the morning: dishes, a load of laundry, and doing my hair. That's it. Those are like my mundane things in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I'm doing two weekly tasks. And it would ideally be a monthly task. But for now, I feel like if I can just get on top of the weekly tasks, I will feel so much better about my home. The monthlies feel like extra things right now. And so the third thing here is for that list of to-dos that are just kind of random. So I need to call our insurance and update some things there. And I need to schedule a vet appointment for a dog, just her checkup, and, just random little things like that. Those can go here. So I have one thing each day that I can look at my to-do list and go, okay, what's next? What's the next like boring, mundane chore on my to-do list that I've been putting off? And that's the third thing here. So we're just looking at them as groups of three things: one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And so that's really, really helpful for me. I probably should flip these actually, because this is typically next. This is during nap time. And then once the boys wake up, we'll do our chores together. So this is like cleaning bathrooms and vacuuming floors, and actually that's the majority of it right there, my weekly tasks. And I don't have those on the same document, but it's basically the like the chores around your house that you would want to do weekly. I wrote them out, came up with 14 of them, and I try to do 2 a day. Then the next block is the things that are kind of just those like dopamine hits. So actually during these first 3 chores, I will try to listen to something educational, something that I enjoy, that's interesting to me, a topic I can learn more about. Then during nap time, I'll watch 20 minutes of a show and then usually go into one of these more energizing projects. And then at some point during the afternoon, if I haven't done my Bible study yet, I'll do that. And if I have time, again, while we're working on that independent play, then I will read for a few minutes. That doesn't typically happen. But if anything else, this has kind of just been something where it's given me that permission. It's permission that I don't have to be on. I don't have to be like super right there with my boys 24/7. Like they can have time by themselves to play, and they need that. Honestly, they need that independent play. And that doesn't mean that I have to be doing something productive. If I have a flow set up where I'm getting things done and I'm able to stay on top of the house the way that I want to, and I'm having time to get work tasks done and do things that I enjoy, and even like maybe organizing some spaces and things like that throughout the day. And if I still have time to read in the afternoon, great. Like let's do it. Like I don't need to feel guilty about that. And then when it comes to dinner prep, by the way, typically I try to save most of, I try not to make things that are complicated. Honestly, that's the first thing. If it requires a lot of prep, it's probably just not going to happen. For me, I try to just keep cooking really, really easy. But I also typically will do that after my husband gets home. And that's kind of my time that I used to hate cooking. And now I enjoy it a little bit more because it's like I get a little bit of space. So he'll watch the boys, he'll play with them, and I will go in the kitchen and I feel like I can breathe a little bit. We have a little baby gate there, so I can close it off and be like, nope, I'm by myself. I'm cooking by myself. Sorry. This is me time now. And so that's how I will do dinner typically right now. So these are just ways that I am taking care of the boys. So, there's a lot of things in here to take care of me. But I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my boys as well, of course. And as a stay-at-home mom, like this is part of my job. And so these are the things that I'm experimenting with right now that help me be a better mom and be the mom that I want to be. Again, this is not about what we should be doing, but this is just about who I want to be. And so we are experimenting with homeschooling. Haven't made a commitment on what we're going to do, but my oldest is 3, and so we are just kind of playing around with some preschool curriculums right now. And so I have school here for, we sat down, we did some lessons, or got up and did. I love doing like hands-on stuff with them. So like yesterday we went in the kitchen and, did some stuff with apples. We counted them and we washed them, and my 1-year-old ate an entire apple. Like we just kind of had fun with it. But it's that intentional time with them where we're working on something specific, and it's one-on-one time or one-on-two, just very, very focused time. Then I also try to have just somewhere, somehow, even if it's just 5 minutes of one-on-one connection time with each of them. Usually with my 1-year-old, that's reading a book. Sometimes I'll even count nursing in that time. If we are like truly, when I put him down for a nap, like I'll leave the 3-year-old to play with one of his toys that he doesn't want the 1-year-old getting, and then I'll go and nurse, and then I'll sometimes count that. Or we'll read a book. He loves to read books. My 3-year-old, usually once I get the 1-year-old down, we'll take 20 minutes or so and we'll play a game or do something else. He usually loves playing games. So I'm a game person too. So that's a really great connection time for us. If that doesn't happen, if we can get outside or if we can read together, all of that kind of counts. But just spending some of that time being intentional, connecting, that's not schoolwork. And then the other thing is not as much about connection, but it's about me. I know I can get overstimulated really easily. And so just using one regulating tool, whether that's deep breaths, whether that is taking 5 minutes to go in another room when I'm feeling crazy overstimulated, and just kind of needing that time alone, away from the stimulation, giving myself a big hug, or just any of those kinds of things that help your nervous system to like calm down. Using one of those. This is super vague, and it is more of a reaction thing, whereas the rest of these are kind of something I'm proactively doing regardless of what else is going on. And so I'm finding it a little bit harder at the end of the day, when I'm going through my checklist, to be like, yeah, I did that. Like it's a little bit trickier for me. So it's something I'm still experimenting with. I may come up with a way to get a little bit more specific, or I may decide to do something else instead. But again, this is very fluid. This whole rhythm is very much been an experiment and continues to be an experiment. So when I find something's not working, I note it. I might try I'll write with my dry erase marker right next to it something else I want to try instead, and check it off when I do that. And it's very fluid, very much just an experiment. The last thing is these 3 things. You will notice they are all non-negotiables for me because I have found them to be so hugely helpful. First one is picking up toys, and that is the biggest non-negotiable. If these others don't happen, we have to pick up the toys at night. I cannot tell you the difference between starting my day with clean space in the living room, even if it's not in the bedroom. Like we don't even have to pick up their room, but picking up the living room, just the toys that are right there. Oh my gosh, I'm such a much nicer mom. And it flows throughout the rest of the day too. Like I might not be snappy right away, but everything else around me starts to feel like the constant mom, hey mom, hey mom. Like that just feels like so much more. And I get to that place of just reacting and just snapping back, or even yelling at them like so much faster than when we're starting the day with clean space. I don't know why, but that is just hugely helpful for me. And so picking up toys at the end of the night is now my biggest non-negotiable. Tracking my food. I set my food at a minimum, and I've actually like kind of taken back a lot of the other stuff that I was tracking. So tracking my food at the end of the day is really what I'm looking for here, and just jotting down everything that I ate. Ideally, I'm doing that throughout the day because it makes it so much easier to remember and to stay on top of. But if I didn't, making sure that I tracked everything here before I go to bed, and then doing another round of my drills that I do in the morning before I go to bed. Haven't been super great at that one, but this is a work in progress, right? And like I said, this is not about perfection. This is not a list to check off perfectly. Even the non-negotiables, they are about, I know when I do them, I feel my best. And so I've made them a non-negotiable because I want that to mean that like excuses are not going to be enough. And I hate the word excuses. I feel like it carries so much judgment, and I'm not an advocate of using it. But sometimes there are just those things where you're like, you're in your mind trying to make a decision, and you kind of justify to yourself one choice over another, even if it's not the one that's going to be as helpful for you. And that is what we typically label as an excuse. And I feel like that's just the easiest way to talk about it. But there are no other reasons, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there are no other things that are going to help me more than my non-negotiables. And that's what I mean by them being a non-negotiable. I'm just deciding at the beginning of the day. I've pre-decided that these are the things that I'm going to choose that are going to help me. Um, so that doesn't mean I'm putting pressure on myself to do them perfectly. It doesn't mean I have to show up a certain way. It just means that I know this is what I need. So I hope this was helpful for you. Again, the whole idea here is not take this routine and implement it and it's going to be amazing for you. My biggest encouragement to you would be to create for yourself. This is just a simple Canva template. Again, I got this one from Amy Marie Hahn, but you could create your own. There's so many templates on Canva. Like, you could just go in there, grab a free one, and just make your own list. Get rid of all the text, and then just put some things in that you feel like would be most helpful. You could group them like this if this sounds like something that would be helpful for you, or come up with your own categories of things, your own flow to the day, your own things that are repeatable. And so, like I mentioned, she talks about this automating your life thing. And that's really identifying, like, what are all of the repeating tasks, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly, or even yearly. And she has a great like setup for incorporating all of those things. For me right now, it's just daily and weekly. Like, what are those things? And that's what I'm focusing on the most. But really, like, automating as much as you can so that it doesn't take all that brain power to think about the things that you're already, like, you're going to need to do again. So, like, why waste the brain power thinking about that every single day, right? And so this is just taking that load off of your brain. So just brain dump, like, what are those things? Or just even pick your top three, whether that's your top three chores, your top three self-care, your top three, just top three random things for the day. Pick three. And and then experiment with those. Experiment with what happens when I get those done. And my biggest tip for you would be to then, like, record yourself talking about it. Or if you're somebody who does better writing, write it out just take a few minutes to go, okay, how did this go? Were these three things helpful? This one helped me a lot. This one I noticed helped with the others. This one did, like, whatever. This one was not helpful at all. And just kind of, like, process that, talk through how it went, and think about the next day. Like, do I want to try that again? Do I want to try something different? Or do it for a week and then kind of think through how it went for the week and take that time to reflect. Treat it like an experiment, not like a pass fail. If you didn't get those things done, it doesn't mean you failed. It means, what do we need to tweak? Okay, it's a science experiment. What is my hypothesis that we need to test and try differently? Test it out, get that data, and then try a new hypothesis. So it's very much a process, and very much something that, even once you find a rhythm, doesn't mean it's going to work forever. You're going to have to continue to, as you go through different seasons and different phases and different, maybe different jobs, or maybe different seasons with your kids. Like, maybe we don't homeschool forever. Maybe we do that for a season, and then we're like, this is not working, or we decide to, I don't know, do things differently. Then this is something that is constantly going to be an experiment, something I'll constantly be playing with. So I just want to give you that encouragement. This is not something to just take and run with and make it something you're pressuring yourself to do perfectly. And you are more than welcome to use my things on my list. But I just say that with the grain of salt. Like, please experiment with them and see if they are things that work for you. And see what is going to be the most helpful for you and your day each day. So I hope this was helpful. I will link below if you are interested in more information about the Master the Mundane, or I will also put a link to 2B Mindset as well. And if you have any questions about this, please drop a comment. I would love to chat with you about this routine, or about your routine, or whatever questions you have. Okay,